Listen. Before we get to Reggae Wednesday, we're gonna get to the music in a second. I just want to, first of all, you see my rest in peace, my sister Fox hat. Fox was on my mind this morning, and I've just given some love to her. But today's conversation, y'all know lately we've been having a lot of fun on the morning emails. We've been kind of joking around and everything. Today we're going to be a little more serious today. That's why I'm going to let y'all rock out with the reggae music. Today we're going to be a little more serious. We're going to talk about this Carmelo Anthony situation. And really just been bothering me, this whole Carmelo Anthony situation. So we're going to talk some stats. We're going to talk some situations and, and kind of like why, you know what I'm saying? So, we're talking about Carmelo Anthony this morning, about the young Carmelo, young Carmelo Anthony this morning. So let's get to the music. Oh man, and we'll get to the verdict. Kim will be in here, and we'll get that story going. So we're talking young Carmelo Anthony this morning. So much to talk about, but let's let the music rock. Get your head up, get your energy rocking, and then we'll get into the conversation today. A little more serious today, though. I'll see you in a second.
We don't stop crying. We all like commando. Respect all the girl with dark complexion, but you don't stop crying. We all like commando. What if things are going for no complexion? Like you see, you know, even in a million. Having from birth a natural suntan. Smooth like the make no try you use your lotion. Take care of your complexion. What am I do? What am I try? Where the whole of them a plan? Don't get you wrong because we love black commando. We don't stop crying. We all black woman, respect all the girl them with that complexion. We no stop cry. We all black woman, no things are going for who no complexion. Someone how where you get it? Give me no. Diamonds. Me love me girl, me love me buy me love me money and thing. But most of all me love me brownie. Love me girl, me love me buy me love me money and thing. But most of all me love me brownie. Pamela and Dan, Suzette and Nadine wanna what the whole vibe of them thinking. Them a plan and them a con and them a scheme. Cause them want much of me and me browning. But all the rumor them a spread and a fuck up my head, my land and not listening. And she know what she alone and me must come back home to her in the evening. And me and her is very close and me love her the most and me not hurt her feeling. So all the talk them a talk, all the chat them a chat, my land and not living. That's why me love me car, me love me bike, love me money and thing. But most of all me love me brownie. Love me car, me love me bike, me love me money and thing. Come now, come now.
Champion lover, gonna make you feel alright. Whoa.
They call me Mr. Lover, man. They call me Mr. Lover.
Good morning, everybody.
Mr. Lover, man. They call me Mr. Lover. They call me Mr. Lover, man. They call me Mr. Lover. Mr. Lover, man. They call me Mr. Lover. Because a woman take a chicken coming from England to satisfy her soul. You know, say she want a man. Booms, it's a ranking. She buck up and I go make she explode just like a bomb. Every hour, every minute, and every second.
Champion lover, no ease up tonight. Well, champion lover, as good as the best of them, as bad as the world. So don't test me, don't try and push me over. Yeah, I can be as good as the best of them, and as bad as the worst. So don't test me, you better move over.
I will put it to what this one you better pass it. Put it to what this man the
Good morning.
Put it to what this is not the rose.
Good morning, everybody.
Put it to what
How y'all doing? Good morning. Let's go.
I'm not looking for the good, I'm looking for the best. Still not the best, but I you me request. It's you I request until death. And I would never try to disrespect. Like to play high and to tear off the chest. Beat you in the east and beat you in the west.
As good as the best of them, as bad as the worst. So don't test me.
Check we out on SoundCloud.com.
Good morning, everybody. Let's go. Let's get it popping this morning. Little Red Rat this morning.
Now me a boom boom, guarantee me not to see the tease girl and just hold on tight. Love me girl with all your might, sometime, but all this sense is sometime about that. Some of them know I've been never let it in your heart. Sometime, but all this and me say some go on with that. Some of them know I have no love in get on that. Two twang and a stand. Well, I might be cool, I might be simple, but I'm not rich up in the gun. Drag me for fugitive, you fool. You never know, see me run this school, so me got the girls, them fool. Must realize and understand, say me sing this slam, so me the girls, them on done. You want this me from 19 no long when man, the girl, they from foundation. Well, woman, you're ready. Some man, I'm a man. You know I'm no girl. Go back in a jamal. Listen to me style and catch the pattern. Being in the next brand new song. Well, listen what you want to so I give them all their mind and soul and everything, and an expander with him thing. Oh, wow! Why the DJ singing? That child, listen up.
Wow.
Mommy and the man just and the family just a bubble of the show. Can't hold it back, must have feel like it flow. Anything just for you, make you feel happy and I never make up what I will do. Anything just for you, sacrifice my love, I can do it. You see me walking out, then something must be wrong. I will never.
Good morning, everybody. Reggae Wednesday, everybody. Let's get it popping this morning.
I love you so much, and for you, me sing a song from the bottom of my heart. Because me say, me check for you so much, so me not go do you that. Come on in and me life apart and me come fat. Natural African girl, she cool and she black. With a lot of tenderness to make me take your kick back. Especially for you, me bring a bunch of roses. What if I them say I just want other poses? To them not understand why no be business. Tell them to mind them all. So me sing.
Wow.
I love you much long of us that day I die. I will do anything just for you. Make you feel happy and I just make you look.
Check we out on
Good morning, everybody. Up in the building. Let's get it popping this morning.
You look on the face of the ninja man, me say me favor long range. That's why me tell them me say my weapon. Tell them ninja man now go left me weapon. Me tell them my weapon. Tell them spanglers now go left them weapon. This is something where you must understand. From me born out of me mother reach the age of 1. Picture you no know me a sling a M1. At the age of 2 me kill 5 policemen. They say you stop your dignity commit that the one. I saw make a pat on the first wanted man. When me rob the bank and kill a woman. Me I tell you my weapon. Tell them ninja man me now left my weapon. So when you see on the ninja man, you see say me a gunslinger. Look at the face of the ninja man. You think say
And don't play. Girl, it's a person. I am bad, man. And I'm wicked in the bed. Wicked.
Good morning, everybody. Unction in the building. Morning emails. All your males and females. Reggae Wednesday. Let's get it popping. Come on now. We just getting started this morning. Come on.
I am bad, man. And I'm wicked in the bed. Wicked man and mad in the bed. I am bad, man. And I'm wicked in the bed. Wicked man and mad in the bed.
I'm the girl around the world. I meant to make it in bed. Wicked. Oh, man.
All of the girls that tell the world that I'm wicked in bed. Wicked man and mad in the bed. I am bad, man. And I'm wicked.
Salute, Eli.
Wicked man and mad in the bed. Enough in the bed, but don't want
Be careful. She pretty and she fit out with the latest. She's dangerous. Cause them a Boston girl. Big bumper from them girl and the pound dangerous. Cause them a Boston girl. Fresh like a rose in a what girl clothes dangerous. Cause them a Boston girl. Me and me crew would have feel too dangerous. Cause them a Boston girl. Careful we wish for mine we want. Them girl we make you go in and you will go go. I done it, I done it, I can't. I know the program. So have you ever thought to think what make a girl cheat? Have you ever asked her if she like how you do it? You need to check yourself before you start kiss your teeth, car. You not ready for this yet, boy. Have you ever wonder where make a girl come? A woman must be satisfied before you say you're done. You can't say a thing if you end up a get fun, car. You not ready for this yet, boy. And you're a little fool as say I am rule the world. And with my bum scary and I sleep over world. Get your act together before you look another girl, car. You not ready for this yet, boy. Did you even realize a woman have mood? You have to know for younger it when girl have one rude. That's why you let that man eat bully pound of food, Remember it was under the sycamore tree. A boy want me bow, want me tell him to flee. Until it was under the sycamore tree. The sun stopped shining from them. Tell you it was under the sycamore tree. A boy want me bow, want me tell him to flee. I tell you it was under the sycamore tree. The sun stopped shining for me. Well, remember when we used to grow? You used to drop your hint and me think you did a yow. But me a goody and me never know how. Furthermore, me never listen.
Hear me now. Yo, me on a fuck, me on a bug, me on a star. Man on a hug, man on a tag, man on a star. Me on a house, me on a land, me on a car. Me love me God and me not stay far. Me not go run, me not go hide, me not go play. Me not go thief, me not go turn the refugee. Me not go afraid of you, cause you not afraid of me. But me call you old family boy. You think me simple but not take man for school. You want to ride, go get a donkey or a mule. You want to ride where you know on your own at all. Man a this a man a that, boy you a fool. I am me born, I am me live and me a stay. And from me little bit I just saw me the pay. I mean no sin no boy to make me run away. God no. Sing along. Rubbing is a thing worth living longer. Some try to pass but I'm getting upset. Woman if you don't want your husband fi stray, I fear of Islam then fi make the man stay. Cause I know if I know now suppose.
So we're gonna
know them position.
And I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted this morning. Because not only am we going to break down the Carmelo Anthony situation, we're going to break it down from a position of understanding exactly what the hell's been happening and why it's happening. And maybe if we can bring some light to what's happening, why it's happening, then, you know, maybe that's going to help the next generation, or at least our children. Let's keep it going this morning. Unction the building. Reggae wins, everybody. Let's go. Let's go get them this morning. Let's go get them this morning. Unction the building. The more the emails, all you males and females. Reggae wins, everybody. Little red music for y'all this morning. Mix up. Let's go.
Be the only in your life. I want to be the only man. Real quality time and affection. One man can run on a combination. All she got
6:15 in the morning. Bryce, get up.
Burn up application. One look shit like you have been the position. No matter how in and you don't know the little man. Would you want this long for rock you all night long? Oh man, I said
talk some serious business today. We're talking about our children's. Let's go. Unction the building. In the morning. Emails, all you males and females. Let's get it done this morning. Come on, let's get some information. Let's go.
I want to be the only man with quality time, affection. One man can run all a combination. All she a look, she don't.
Well, this is like a menace to the society. Big enough for all the ghetto lady. All guys, walk out and walk crazy. Busy, sing along song. Give me the girl ever the wickedest slum. The kind of girl we know fi. Man, if you want it, a slum from a real ghetto girl again. Give me the girl ever the wickedest slum. The
she man. Man, if you want to get the medal, you have to get us long from a real
Reggae Wednesday.
Man, if you never get a medal and will, and if you never have your banana peel, man, if you want to no good loving feel, you have to find a girl
one second, I put my seeing glass on.
Man, if you love your girlfriend to ya, but you're not get the slam where you want. Only for things can go on if you hide. Go look at junglist, girl, on the side cars. I get a girl up the wicked slum. The kind of girl who no feel love up she man. Man, if you want,
Good morning, everybody. I'm Chin and Bill in the morning. Emails, all you males and females. This is Reggae Wednesday. Wednesday.com.
Your body take the bleach and your body no stop and you make the video light. Make the video light. Girl, man, I run you down, just take him way down right. You make the video light. Take the video light. This a song when me sing a fi good girl and pigeon. Make the video light. Take the video light. And your man love your bad cause your zoom tight. Make the video light.
tell you why you miss him one. Putting you up on your body, you feel one. No girl can mix you up in a no-bow zone. You no take foul pill, you know we a silicone. You not suck no bone, you have your own casco phone. Colors idea, boy get dial tone. No fussy face can't sit up in your home. You have your own man in your own love zone.
See them run, see them run. When I bust my gun, my gun, my gun. You know how we do. I see them run, see them run, see them run. When I bust my
Pussy hole this week up and fall like rain. Cardiac arrest a lot the RS to your brain. And rapidly with you some pussy face like cello fight. Reach it with the sugar, this and the guy no gain. The mad family we gon' them it till we are straight. You this you kill yourself, no tell me who you are gon' blame. Cause man a bad man not chase like we are change. Simple and plain.
Pussy boy get your head right. Bad man a set tonight and you dead time. You get caught in a
Well done.
Let's go, y'all. Come on.
Slew them up, bare feelings, them a carry. Them done bow already and them can't say them sorry, yeah. Slew them up, bare feelings, them a carry. You know what, them something again. Wait, no, what you with? Who them a could have that them a try. Them got this king still I see what you all of them die, yeah. Who them a make us see them with them spell. Them this money well and them so gonna hell, yeah. Who them a could have them Marcus. Them this Marcus, I know them all bite it dust, yeah. Who them a make us tell them to flirt. Tell them can't this mama hurt. You know see a dead man them. No be man them, not no with them. The fire fi burn them. Them don't condemn a be a dead man them. Them don't go like me and me don't go like them. Tell them some me not keep no funny man friend. Tell them some me not keep no sada my friend. Now go stoop low me chat the road them.
How we them a shut up and a watch them woman? How we call them boy there? Who's the watchman? How say them a shut up and a trail them woman? How we call them boy there? Who's the watchman? Mr. Watchy boom. That same boy you carry feelings, he boom fly past in a deep him a with him gal car. With a put up back or come
Yo, them a talk about more fire. Me a talk about more fire. We pray for water, make it wash down bag of wire. Them a talk about more fire. We a talk about more prayer. Well, this a tune I can make some DJ talk some. But what? Heights of great men reach and kept. We're not attained by sudden fly. While the company and step. We were upward silent through the night. Heights of great men reach and kept. We're not attained by sudden flight. While the company and step. We were upward silent through the night. I wouldn't say them a fight there. I wouldn't say them a light. Still I see what him show him never take no stripe. I wouldn't say man nasty. And them not smell so the whole thing God bless. Because you wanna you feel the fire burn. A word without words. Fire burn up the whole your man shirt. Fire burn. And better learn. And everything out there you feel burn. Fire burn. A word without words. Fire burn up the whole your man shirt. Fire burn. And better learn. And everything out there.
Let's go get him this morning. Come on.
Imagine get us up in your latest wear.
Reggae Wednesday, everybody.
Because a type and stay weird. You come out your ear, a Rasta man say, you feel like you want disappear. Imagine big dancer keep down in the scare. Woman in a mosquito and the tallest ear. She come out your ear, a Rasta man say, jump and remember all my. I need to tell you something. Remember what day when me sing Simma. Every man call E.G. a Rocky fella. But when me know say me a the girls them sugar. When make me stay too. When make you stay too. Yeah what? Just a bada. We no walla. When them a talk about me, the DJ never follow. Them a friend of me. What's that me? What take myself to make a new technology? Just a bada. Me no walla. When them a talk about me, King Jam me never follow. Them a friend of me. What's that me? What take myself to make no?
Yes.
Mojo Banton me artist and me rate him as me should. But me wonder what we go on from him go a Hollywood. A the big song he sing a wreck up the neighborhood. If you a walk a man, walk them. Easy.
Walking with the best.
When you're uncle and snapper, if you're drinking it and you do your work proper, nobody can call you no stopper. Let me see your hand if you a dapper. All on the man when you're uncle and snapper. If you drink it, so you never get it. Watch out.
We're about to take it back.
So you're living in style and run out of money. Scoops them and I get physical, them hear your body ready. So you're living in style, girl, you're not out of money. Man is secure, him say things look funny. Oh, you're not saying, man, you still sound happy. And him the apparel, him a pet and him a buggy.
Wake up, let's go.
With him one bag of money. And him tell Paul and the one Anthony. Betrayal back of you like say them a box money. I beg you just call and tell him say sorry. Tell him you know the time for no man watch your body chew.
Yeah.
Man again.
Wake him up, let's go. Morning emails, everybody, how you feeling? Morning emails, all emails and females, we getting the rocket this morning. Unction in the morning emails, how you doing? Wednesday, Reggae Wednesday. Wednesday's work, let's go get them. Wake your ass up.
When you a go to the paper, ball it up, wave and bow, baby. Things that when you a goal, me not tell no lie. You full of man control, sexy body girl. Things that when you a go to the paper.
People, watch this. I'm saying easy. So man a play number 2. No man I have a feeling no picture. But I am not in none of that it won't do. Cause anytime you see the little fat thing kill me, I be sing say. Man, if I can lose your styling.
Good morning.
The one of them can't shit shopping.
Every man knows that the woman them a lead.
Them a than pepper seed again.
Wow, because we love just baby.
And she drive the old gangster crazy.
Before you put the body, me say me can't resist.
So how the hell will leave a man a switch?
Saw you this morning.
Just a man get on
Enough man calling.
you body fresh like the power she make you up.
Tell you some real one that a style.
It's amount of care. It's amount of feelings I wanna share with you. Excess amount of passion. Ain't no fair attraction. I won't give baby.
Good morning, everybody. Unction in the building. Let's get it popping this morning. Come on.
All of the girls in the world, they want it. Nothing extra, more plenty. All of the girls in the world, they want it. It's like every woman, every girl, every lady. Can get a good man from the Almighty. Can you own your property, that's what I'm here to live. Let me see. Now me just say, no man, I look you want me looking on the race. As I don't know what you do, must have to get less. Run till you run right out of the place. And it's still out there, let me take you where we don't chase you. You are the hottest thing wherever take the place. Like your mama consecrate your body with praise. Boy, you're only looking wild and remember about your man, you made your decide to share more. Can you to get your life with the hand be rosy round stone and that stand clear.
Man, that sounds so good.
To have you near. Oh, what the fuck, I know man.
Nothing like Bogo music. Come on.
Don't go now. Only pull up and cheer me and no man no look you want me looking on the race. And no matter what you do, must have to get less. Coulda run till you run right out of the place. And it's still happening and me take you where we touch it. Also after man on this inch up on your can. Get me realize that you every man a feature. Parents have to give some first. Fire girls, them sick. You're white people out them push to the bone. Now what we call man cause them have to them out. Me had to come out and I one like she had kiss me neck she in under she keep from. Why if you up enough, big sprinter stay up. Press me and
kitchen. Wife honeymoon, she take the plane and go foreign. Mating already, tell everybody she a get the love, but you get the money. Wife exquisite, everything you have it. Don't worry, who no sell cause everything legit. Yeah. So when wifey come out, them bush to the bone. Then I worry about man cause them off with them own. Mating come out and I go like she a kiss me, not shaking and that she give from. Yeah, yeah. Woman, you know worry, you give me donkey lens. You only do what the man 320 Benz. Mating come in like oh na 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 na.
Let's go get him this morning. Unc in the building. Let's get it poppin'. Come on.
Oh na 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 na. Oh na 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 na. It's all about me. And the big sister now yo me. You two of them claims that them know me. All them arguments show me. The boy that name grow me. And the more sister now yo me. You two of them claims that them know me. All them arguments show me. But me wonder who me. How him fi know me? I want to ask me man and character. Me go live where and see that grow me. Who the boy owe me? Him argument show me. Him girl want blow me through tears and me blow me. Me here now you owe me. A 15 auntie. Me check it out deep down to the grandma what. Me so I got the boy grudge me. The boy bad mind me. That's why me argument Japan all row me. And him big fat sister now yo me. We two of them claim that them know me. And them argument show me. Yeah, I know. Oh na 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 na.
Good morning, everybody. Reggae Wednesday, everybody. Let's go.
Who got the keys to my bimmer? Who am I? The girls them sugar. How can I make love to a fella in a rush? Pass me the keys to my truck. Who am I? The girls them lock. And I we make love to precious. You a bubble girl with deep like a bucket. Just for your nigga like your nigga can't fit. Just for your like a cold year.
No debate, you have now. Check it. Well, woman know what? Violate if you accelerate. Pan a day, the more you infiltrate. Woman, the more you tear down them wall and the gates. In a year, one mistake, woman no wanna bait. Them not go feel violate if you accelerate. Pan a day, the more you infiltrate.
Reggae Wednesday, everybody. Unc in the building. Let's get it poppin'. Come on.
Woman, I want no good from a number where you want you fit tell that fit tear off his suit. Them no want no dude whenever in the mood and them no want no little boy with no girl attitude. Well, I know nothing for we either. You know the girl them pathway man a slide and a glide is a natural thing for we collide. Bedroom argument leg for divider. Get you right. Woman no want no bait. Them not gonna feel violate if they accelerate. One a day the more you infiltrate.
Keep it man, don't you front.
Reggae dancehall, bogo type music, you know, Unc in the building. Let's get it poppin' this morning. Come on.
Me a bad girl, from me mind away me a bad girl. In front me line away me a bad girl from me mind. She no know how well me really well want her. Well, I know one girl alone not me weak, but only good body girl want me sick. Man, I get the killer when not even a speak. Take that design, yeah.
Well, we're in a bashment party. People get you feel the hype. Yeah. Wearing Gucci and the money. Feeling rich like Wesley Snipes. Drinking crystal with my shorty. Burning my chalice through the night. So we're having a bashment party. So hey.
Them searching, that's my part of things. And them searching, like God just wanna clip them wing. Hear them searching, that is why they duplicate the swings. And them searching.
Unlike America would have us believe, the greatest problem confronting this country today is not pollution and bad breath. It's black people. It's black people. See, that's just one of the big lies that America tells you and that you go for because you chumps. You go for it. One of the lies that we tell ourselves is that we're making progress. But his chair is empty. We're not making progress. We tend to equate progress with concessions. We can no longer make that mistake. Even they gave us
The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not show you into the Nixon blowing up and leading the charge by John Nichols, Philo Agnew, Eve Hallmarks confiscated in the heart of Pittsburgh. The revolution will never happen.
Wow. Good morning, everybody. Young to the building. Let's get to the intro, Oh, man.
Hey, Dad, it's Dahlia. Congratulations on your new show. I know how you get, so don't be too rough on him. Love you, and good luck. Bye.
Love you too, monkey. Welcome to The Raw Perspective with your host, the incomparable Uncle Lays, a.k.a. Lays Elliott, a.k.a. Lazy Lays from the world famous, kicking it with in topics about health, politics, music, art, and culture. And now, for your host, the legendary Uncle Lays.
Hey, yo, what's up, y'all? Good morning, everybody. I'm to the building. Morning emails. Let me get Instagram in real quick because we have a very serious conversation we're going to have this morning. And you know what? Before we get started, I know Kimmy should be on her way in a second, but you know what? I'm going to start, and I'm going to bring my first guest up here. Let me get Instagram in here for a second because the seriousness of this conversation, I think it's important. Yesterday, we were talking to Kimmy, and we kind of glossed over it because, we were having fun. Sometimes, y'all know that sometimes we have a lot of fun on the show and we get into joke mode, and sometimes we get into very serious subjects. Well, today we get into a serious subject because one thing I'm very serious about is my children. So some years ago, much more than now, 6, almost 7 years ago, a brother of mine came to me. It was during the pandemic. What's the pandemic? Well, right before the pandemic, actually. It was before the pandemic, and I had met a brother a couple years before the pandemic, and seemed like a really good brother, and he was sort of talking to me about education, and I had no inroads and understanding of what education was, obviously, except for you go to school and whatever. But this is a brother that built his life around educating our young people. And so the pandemic hit, and he came to me and he was like, hey man, I got to figure out a way to keep my leaders, my school leaders engaged, because it's important that we keep them engaged, and I don't know how to do this. And there was this new platform that came out. It was called Zoom. Zoom was a platform that nobody really knew, and I came up with the idea. I said, hey, why don't I play some music, and that'll keep me, and then we'll start. We talked about bringing in, famous people from that era who were just like friends of mine, like guys. And so we called guys like Ralph McDaniels and Red Alert and Damon Dash and my brother who I spoke to yesterday for almost an hour, Big Daddy Kane. And we talked about oh, come on, Instagram. I need you to be right. Before I bring him in, all right, so we're gonna get Instagram right again. Graham, I think it caught. I let the music play too long on Instagram, so let me just bring in Instagram, because I think it's important that my brother gets on every one of those channels. I don't want to short my brother a channel. You follow what I'm saying? So anyway, while I'm telling you the story, we can get into it. So he created this coalition that I became, part of, called Off School Grounds. Myself and a couple of other beautiful women and educators, really live educators that put together this coalition and introduced me to the world of education in a way that I had never been introduced. Yesterday, Kimberly talked about Jeffrey Cannon, the guy from the schools in Harlem, and but this is where he comes from. You know what I'm saying? This is his thing, and so I thought it was apropos in light of the Carmelo Anthony situation in Texas, not too far from the compound, by the way, that we bring this brother in and allow him to speak from an educator's perspective, so we can understand not only the loss, but understand some of the pressures that our young African American children are under. And So I think it's apropos that I bring him in here and we start the conversation with my brother Dr. Dennis McKeezy. Man, I got to tell you something. It's crazy, but I think it's important that we start the conversation with Dr. McKeezy, and he could talk about it from an educator's perspective, first and foremost. So I brought him in. This is my brother Dennis. Turn your phone. Can you? Is it possible? Or are you driving?
Yeah. But you want me to turn it?
Yeah, there you go. Now you're rocking. Good morning, Dr. Dennis McKeezy, my brother.
What's up, man? What's up, Lazo?
I'm good, brother. You know, we have a lot of fun on the morning emails. You know that, but we also have serious conversation, and it's really about everything. And yesterday there was a verdict that came down in Frisco, Texas. I'm out there a lot, not far from the compound. Couple of miles from the compound in Frisco, Texas. And again, they gave this young man, Carmelo with a K, 35 years, and they charged him with a first degree murder. And he was convicted yesterday. For those that don't know the story was that he felt threatened by some people. And he was threatened by some people, this young white guy, and I guess he stabbed him. And then he waited for the police because he felt he was fighting in self-defense. And the young man went to court, and they went through the whole trial process. By the way, no black people were on the jury; they were all white. A couple of Asian and one Middle Eastern person that was on the jury, and they found him in 3 hours. They found him guilty, and now that young man is gone. So I just want to lay out some of the facts of what we know, and then I hope Dr. McKeezy can speak to not only the loss but also the kind of pressures that our young African American boys are under.
What's up, Lazo?
I'm good, bro.
Again, similar to how you started. Obviously your morning show is extremely entertaining. And, but one of the things that I've always admired about the work that you have done from the beginning was that you spoke to the real stories, the stories that we really need to hear about. And sometimes, laughs and jokes may not be part of the segment, but it's still important to talk about. And so, yeah, it was a disheartening thing, and I'm going to say this, Lays, I speak to you not only as an educator, but as a father.
Right.
And 2 lives were ruined during this situation. I have to, acknowledge the fact that, a young person lost his life. And then now another young person's life is changed forever.
Right.
And I think truly we can have a conversation around race and how it impacted the decision and the verdict. But I also have to tell you that as a father and an educator, it's a lot more layered than that. And again, hopefully during this conversation, you and I can go a lot deeper into this conversation, because there are a couple of adults in the lives of these young people failed them. And I think we can acknowledge the wrongdoing of the young people, but we have to also acknowledge that there are some adult issues that also need to be addressed during this situation.
Okay, well, first of all, let's bring Kim in. Kim Lee, I got you in here now. Good morning. Just want to say good morning to Kim, because I know
morning.
This is the story that Kim brought yesterday, and we glossed over the story. So before we get into this, and I want to get deep into the conversation, so thank you, Kim, for bringing this to our attention. And now let me just dive in for a second, because I always dive in from a different angle, not just from the angle of what happened and the impulse, emotion of the angle, but I always try to re and deconstruct what's happening. So a couple of years ago, I was sitting in the Harvard Club. Now, I'm not trying to, this is not a flex, but I'm sitting in the Harvard Club having a conversation with one of the higher ups in the Harvard Club. And one of the things they said to me, I told it to Dennis before, they said the biggest mistake they made was that they allowed private corporate America to make money off the imprisoning of young black uh, and Latino Americans while opening the door to give all of the gains from the civil rights movement to um, people that come to America, and they then kind of hijacked those gains. And one of our greatest resources was the young African American, the more resilient. They were here from their families were here from the beginning of the country, and we actually, by the millions, have incarcerated this entire resource, and basically given the country away to the Chinese, to the Arab, to the Indian, and to those people that came in. I'm not trying to draw a line between them. I just want to show you that they acknowledge um, that this was a deconstruction that was given. It was a plan in the making that they acknowledged that they were doing it to make money, and now the repercussions of that is that we have an entire generation that we have to now come in and dig out of a hole. Am I missing something by saying that, Dennis?
I wouldn't say you're missing anything. And again, unfortunately, a conversation like this is so layered, right? Again, because of the adults that, I think have made a lot of decisions that our young people are actually are emulating, right? And
Right.
so what happened again in these scenarios happens far too frequently. It just happens to be a very high profile case. And real briefly, Lays and Kim, good morning, Kim. You know, just the other day, I was reading in the newspaper about in the Bronx that a young man lost his life at the age of, he was in this, I think almost 40 years old. He got into a little beef with a young person, a teenager on the bus in the Bronx. And because he was so loud and boisterous on the bus, the man mentioned something to him, and the young person unfortunately shot and killed him on the bus just 2 days ago in the Bronx. And what is that? What am I ultimately pointing out here, Lays, is that there's a bigger conversation that extends beyond academia. That we have to ask ourselves the question: are we truly preparing young people how to deal with pressure and conflict in a way that's more conducive to, the end result? Because again, two people's lives were destroyed in that scenario that we're talking about today. And the families, all families are grieving and hurt at this point. And so I don't want to kind of look at it from a one-sided perspective, but just say
Right.
holistically, we got work to do as a community and as a country to understand what's actually happening.
I like the way I like the angle, Dennis, that you come from, because what you're saying is it's not just in Texas; it's all over the country where conflict resolution by our young men has gotten to the point where it's impulse generated
Yeah.
and directly to the final result. I grew up in the '80s. I grew up in a tough neighborhood. Um, but I also grew up in an area where we solved our conflict a little differently. We took five, we fought, we did things differently. Now it seems uh, in this last 25, 30 years, it seems like conflict resolution is only quickly by the gun. That's it. There's not even a chance for you to even become. Most of the guys I fought with, I became friends with later on. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
those things end so quickly. How do we go back in and rebalance the nature or the political nature of our young men to where they can have conflicts and it doesn't end up in the end result? Because those two young men could have been friends
Yes.
in a few more years. They were in the school. They were both athletes. They whatever, and they had a little bit of a conflict. But how much responsibility do we have as adults and teaching our young kids how to resolve conflict without becoming the final notice?
Well, I think, Lays, we have a great responsibility to be able to teach conflict resolution because conflict resolution also, an aspect of it is walking away, right? Certain things don't require a violent response to it. And again, I'm not I'm referring to this thing holistically because it happens far too often, and it never gets the type of media, um, the type of media impact. It doesn't get impacted the way it does now by this particular situation, but I see it happening all the time in the Bronx. I see it happen every time in Harlem. I see it happen every time in Brooklyn and across the country. But I think what we have to think about, ladies, is that there is a side to this that we don't ever talk about. Is walking away. Just walk away. I
Right.
understand self-defense. I truly understand what that looks like and the importance of it. But I'm also saying that we got to also teach young people sometimes when you feel something's not right, walk away from it. We've been in clubs, we've been on a block, we were at certain places where we just felt the energy was
You
off.
drop a bat pellet. I know how to
You know what
drop.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're notorious for dropping the bat pellets, but it's important that we do that in terms of teaching young people. And again, I am in no way, shape, or form attempting to minimize the verdict in any way whatsoever. I'm just saying that as a father and as an educator, there's just things we just got to do a little bit better of a job with at this point, ladies. And again, walking away just doesn't ever seem to be an option for people. It just doesn't. And again, I think we are, as adults, find ourselves in circumstances every day that we walk away from. There's some people that we just want to curse out. There's some people we want to punch in the face, but it's easier for you to just simply walk away. And I know, you and I have played a lot of golf together. You and I have been in a lot of places together. And I know there's instances where, you know, you've walked away from circumstances that could have easily turned crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Well, a younger me would have stepped into it a little, and also it allows me to analyze the situation and say, hey, let me just not deal with a certain situation because I don't want to, it could escalate and it could go to another space. But that was just me growing through that, being lucky. I lost an entire neighborhood to guys that didn't walk away, and I can tell you what I think happened. There was a time when the males in our neighborhood would regulate the temperature as far as beef would go. Um, I don't want to make this a man versus woman conversation, but I can tell you this: a lot of these boys are growing up without the father in their life, without that male influence. When you don't have that male influence in your life, sometimes you get a little bit reactionary because it was my father that taught me how to change the temperature. Be like, oh, hey, that's not cool. You don't have to put your hands on. Let them put your hands on you. You don't have to. Make sure you protect your 3 feet. That's it, and then don't worry about it. But I feel a lot of stuff escalates, and there's a lot of different escalation, and nobody's teaching these young boys how to de-escalate. That's what I'm.
Yeah, and again, there's terms for that stuff, emotional regulation and all of those things. But I just think at the end of the day, the conversation with young people is just giving them other options other than, resorting to violence. And I think it has become so appropriate now for many of people to just respond in violence. And it's tough, ladies, because as I said, we know that there's kids that have to walk to school every day protecting themselves. We know that there's kids who are in parts of Chicago, Brooklyn, and the Bronx, and Compton. People legitimately are fighting for their lives just to go to school every day. And I'm not again justifying any of that part, but I'm saying those are real scenarios for people that we got to address. But we also got to express as parents as well as educators the importance of kids being aware, not just simply being responsible, ladies, but being aware and being wise about the decision that's going to happen. Because every decision we make has a consequence. If I'm going to
In
stab
the
some,
TikTok era, how do you teach these children self-discipline in the instant TikTok era? How do you teach them self-discipline when everything is so instant gratification and quick, fuzzy, in and out?
well, again, I think there is a responsibility for the adults to be able to do so, right? I think we give the influence to TikTok and say, well, they are the ones who are driving a lot of the decisions that young people are making, or Instagram or anything like that. But the reality of it is that adults have to play a stronger role in that. As a father, I have to sit down and have those conversations with DJ and Kayla and Mikey and say, hey, I can't be around you all day. I'm going to tell you the best way to handle this. However, in the event that you do something, that may cost you your freedom or cost you your life, you got to ask yourself the question: was it worth it? Was it worth it? And again, if you feel it was worth it, I can't fight you on that. And that's a hard conversation to have because it seems harsh. But as a parent, what else can you do but prepare your young person or prepare your child for the fact that whatever decision you make will have a consequence, good, bad, or indifferent. And as I said, ladies, you think about this. There's a young person that's buried in a cemetery as a result of this situation. There's
Right.
somebody who's going to be, spend 35 years in a prison. There is no winners in this. Like there is no winners in this at all. Because you've heard people talk about anybody's ever killed anybody, anybody's ever harmed somebody. You got to deal with that torment, that
You gotta
mental
deal with that
torment for the
too.
rest of your life.
Yeah, you're
You
dealing
know what
with
I'm saying?
both. Yeah. Let me ask you a question, D. Before I let Kimmy jump in here, D Park said something I thought his comment. I thought that was a pretty good comment. He said it's a little more about choices than decisions. A lot of time in certain areas that you spoke about, like Chicago, East New York, Jacksonville, St. Louis, and certain areas around the country, certain places in Atlanta and Liberty City and Miami. These places, the choices aren't there's not a lot of choices for young people. So it's hard to make decisions when your choices are limited.
Yeah, Lace, I agree with that. And Deep Park, shout out to you for even mentioning that. But once again, there's still going to be consequences to our actions either way, right? And my thing is, you shoot somebody in Brownsville, Brooklyn, because of what you think is self-defense. That still too can turn into you spending the rest of your life in prison. And so again, the choice that you make has a consequence, no matter how we slice it. And I don't think kids realize or young people realize the severity of the result of the consequence. I just don't think they understand it because we don't talk about it enough, right? This idea we've sensationalized going to prison. And so now you got young people in prison with cell phones and with, just living a life what they think is, we've sensationalized, going to prison. You got more right now videos of young people in prison that they're utilizing cell phones in the prison cells to actually film whatever is going on in there. So a young person just thinks that that's cool, but they don't realize there's a whole nother side to that.
Well,
That
they will at
n-
some point realize it, but also you bring attention to the lopsided prison system because that same guy in Brownsville, that same thing would have happened. That guy would have gotten involuntary manslaughter, and he probably would have did 3 to 5 and got out of jail. In Frisco, Texas, being that it was a black guy and a white kid, respectfully and unfortunately, we lost we lost two young men, as you point, but the justice system is uh, so tilted that he had no representation in the jury or in the community to even understand from that young man Carmelo's side that, hey man, I was afraid because I didn't know
yeah,
what was happening. I'm trying to defend myself, and I can't tell you. I'm not a knife expert. I'm just using a knife to protect myself. And now 35 years of his life is gone, and also this young man is in the cemetery. This is
yeah.
incredible.
So but Lays, I think that again, there's two things you have mentioned just now. One about the jurors. Think about us as black people. We hate jury duty. We don't want like you get a letter in the mail, you gotta go to jury duty. Like, nah, I don't want to go no jury duty. But now we understand the importance of our responsibility to accept the role and responsibility to become a juror. The second thing that we got to think about is the representation that this black boy had during this. When I kind of dug a little deeper and read a little bit, this person that you have representing your son is basically a court appointed attorney. Like he's like a court appointed attorney. It's like we raised money because it was a GoFundMe as I remember reading it. It was a GoFundMe account that was set up where the parents were getting money to actually to represent their child. Unfortunately, the majority of that money did not go to the type of attorney that could have easily, fought a different type of fight. I'm not, again, making no excuses for people. What I am saying is that Something like that, Lays, you got to do everything in your power to find the greatest level of representation for your son while they know he's in a place that is the deck is stacked against him. You got to
I'm gonna go to
let that
Kimmy
be.
real quick. Dennis, you bring up again. This is why I brought Dennis on first, because Dennis has a way of seeing sides of the argument that we sometimes in our emotion don't get to see these sides of the argument. And this is one of the arguments. Number one, what we find in every situation in our community, there's a tremendous lack of representation in the PTA system, in the jury duty system. Guys ain't fucking with nothing in the voting system, but we always are reactionary to, we always have a reaction to when shit happens and it doesn't happen in our favor, when we have so many opportunities to step in early and be a part of the system to represent our people. And we don't do that. And now things happen and now we're going, oh my God. So it's a cause and effect, number one. And number two, it's a legal issue because a lot of us, because of our financial situations, don't have enough property or have enough situations to fall back on in order to get the right lawyers. And I don't know if Xavier Donaldson is going to come in this morning. He'll let me know. But, one of the best attorneys in the world. But getting a good attorney is so important. Shout out to all my attorneys. I invest in those guys. When it comes times, I pay those guys well because ultimately they protect your interest and have representation. That's a big deal in our community. We don't have representation from the legal side. And I think that's something that y'all got to pay attention to. Fuck the chain, fuck the car. Maybe you have a less expensive car, less expensive jury, and maybe put some money aside to make sure you got an attorney to protect your interests. And also, some of y'all get out there and go to jury duty. Some of y'all get out there and get in your community PTA meetings when they start to make decisions about policies in your school that affect your children. They said, and let me tell you something before Kimmy, I'm sorry, Kimmy, for holding this up, but I just want to get this point out. Somebody told me that they had a big PTA meeting in the state that would represent schools in our district. And our district, Dennis knows them as Title I schools. And in those schools, they had representation. There were no black people in the meetings, but it was all black kids in the schools. Black and Hispanic. And so, black, Hispanic, and people that were poor in the schools. We had no representation. So decisions are being made about our children, funding, and education without the representation of the people that it's affecting. All right. So those are conversations that we need to have. Kimmy, go ahead. I'm sorry, Kimmy. I've been blocking morning, my dear. Good morning, Kimmy.
Thank you. I enjoy listening to both you and Dennis speak. Good morning, Dennis, and everyone out there. When I look at a lot of things a little differently from a physiological and a neurological aspect, being that I'm a career massage therapist. I can see things a little differently from how we move. I am now entering into the school system to start with your inner self, your inner works. A lot of our children don't know how to de-escalate because they're so they feel so chaotic on the inside. They're so jumbled on the inside. Their nerves are moving at a million units per second.
Impulse.
So they don't know how to bring it down. They don't know how to de-escalate. In the homes, depends on what home. Well, most homes, you hear a lot of maybe miscommunication between your parents. No one knows how to de-escalate any type of situation when they go home, because of the stress that the parents may be dealing with. You mentioned not growing up with black fathers. Maybe the job that the mother has doesn't pay her enough money. So there's a lot of things going on the inner, in their homes, that when they leave out, they carry this same type of trauma with them. I'm going to use that word.
Latchkey kids, a lot of latchkey kids out there. I understand that. Sure, serious. Yeah.
We underestimate the word trauma. We see it as something terrible happening, but something terrible happening could also be listening to your mom speak about how she's going to pay the rent or the light bill. So there's different levels of trauma. Now, my first things first, when I talk to not only the children, to all of us, we have to learn how to breathe. This breathing is very instrumental in how we live, how we think, how we move. The oxygen is what our body breathes. It helps us relax, focus, and concentrate. When this young man, apparently he was in the, I'm talking Carmelo Anthony here. Apparently when he went into the tent where the four other young men were, he was asked to leave. Apparently because of the neighborhood or whatever he lives in, he was carrying a knife with him. That was his de-escalation, the knife. No one told him, listen, Carmelo, you have choices. If these kids don't want you there, just leave.
One thing I do want to make mention of. There is another caveat that we're dealing with, because we are dealing with today, but you got to understand there is an inherent sort of demarcation in Texas. The black people kind of stay to themselves. They do their own thing.
In a sense,
it is very segregated. But it's not legally segregated. They stay to themselves, and the hierarchy or the racism is being handed down to the next generation. Now, you don't see it just above board when you walk around in the streets. Everybody's cool with each other, but the black man, first of all, it's an open carry state. You walk around, so you got a lot of black men walking around with their guns on them, chilling, and their job is to protect their community. And so sometimes, but what we're teaching our children, especially in this climate, in today's political climate, they're teaching their children to hate anything that's not, or say it doesn't. They're not teaching their children to come together in places like Texas and stuff like that. So we find that unless it's in school, unless the guy's the athlete, there's going to be tension that is handed down for generations. So this generational racism that we deal with as a community is not going to just dissipate because we say it's over.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a real thing, Go ahead.
This is why I start off with the inner self.
Right.
A lot of these things you can't be taught. Someone can't. Well, that's not true because I'm teaching. Again, I think
it doesn't snap and go away. Dennis can tell us about that.
But if you start, listen, they took health classes out of our schools. People don't know exactly what oxygen can do to you. And oxygen is a very powerful tool. Once you're able to relax, you're able to focus on what is happening at this moment, concentrate on what my options are, and then make good decisions. So because we are not taught this, we are taught to be more reactionary than just to sit and think about what my response should be. We're taught to be more reactionary. That's what's happening now. And this is generational. A lot of us don't know this. And it's not even only in the black generation, in the black community. It's all of us.
I'm going to give it to Dennis because he's the education expert. Dennis, has the education system, or is it failing us in teaching us the right things? In other words, has education caught up with the times where it's teaching us things that actually help us, give us the tools to react in this world where everything is so quick, reactionary, while we still have the baggage for some of the old things, the old tropes that we've been living through?
Yeah, Lays and Kim, and in fairness to educators, man, the workload is just again beyond overwhelming at this point, right? I'm asked to do a lot academically. Asked a lot to do professionally. I'm asked to do a lot, socially, psychologically. There's a lot that educators have to do, and it's just another thing. It's another thing to add on the plethora of responsibilities that we have. But because we know that conflict resolution has been in education from its inception, it just has to be something that's very intentional. We have to have more conversations about what that looks like. Remember, we got to a point where, families, we have to now educate families about that, because remember, families would tell a kid, listen, somebody put their hands on you, you go and you punch them in the face, or you go do this and you go do that. That's fine, right? But you also got to tell your kid that there's a responsibility to now accepting consequences. So when I was a principal in the Kimmy, and I heard you were talking about, Jeff and the work we were doing in the Harlem Children's Home, it's the same concept that I've gotten from there. At the end of the day, as a principal, a parent will say, "We know, but he hit my child." Okay, but fine. Now they both getting suspended. Like, it doesn't. There's too many adults. There's other people around that can help you to resolve this conflict. You can't take it upon yourself to say, "I'm going to react the way I want to react or the way my mother told me how to react," because that's what I'm saying. As adults, we have also to play. We play a large role in some of these knee-jerk reactions that our young people are actually engaged in every day, right? And so the concept of, Lays and Kim, the concept of off-school grounds, OSG, was more of me saying that if we're going to solve problems in school, we got to address the stuff off school grounds. What are the reasons why young people feel a need to stab, to shoot, to kill one another? Like, why is that such the go-to for young people as opposed to having a conversation? And I think that as we continue to think about, what happened with Carmelo, we also got to think about the families of Austin and think about the parent that gets up in the morning, goes in the room and don't see their child anymore. And while we are balancing that conversation out a little bit more, I think that obviously we can always talk about race. We can talk about the disproportion of suspensions and incarceration. We can talk about those things, but it doesn't stop the fact that one person is dead and another person is sitting in a prison cell for the next 35 years. And ladies, I said it before about the jury duty stuff. Like, we've always, I've seen, because I've been one of those people who wanted to make every excuse in the world not to go to jury duty. I did not want to not go to work. I did not want to not get paid. I had all these reasons why I didn't want to do it until I got older and realized, man, that is your civic duty to ensure that you are represented, especially in places in which you reside, and that young people may be, a person may be in need of a juror that has a different perspective and stuff like that.
And if I could jump in here,
you say
I always wanted the jury to be out for lunch.
I know you, first of all, you're a very civically minded person, Kimmy. We know this, but let me two things you mentioned, Dennis, and I want to just tap on a couple of things that you said, and maybe push a little bit on one of the things you said. It was about the amount of the workload of the educator. You talked about how much they have to do. My question is, I am an educator, but I'm not a formal educator. Is it the workload? Maybe are we not shifting the curriculums and shifting education to match with the times? Are we so far behind the times in education and structured education that reading, writing, and arithmetic is not the leading edge of what it used to be? And maybe because of our social adjustments in society, shouldn't we be maybe shifting education to sort of match with the pace of society?
No, yeah, Lays, I definitely agree with that. But when I use the term conflict resolution, you could teach that through any discipline. You could teach that through any subject. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's math, science, social studies, ELA, whatever, you can teach conflict resolution in that space. And so I think even it being overwhelming for a lot of educators, I still think that there is room for us to take those few minutes, every day, every month, every week, to really discuss conflict resolution scenarios based on the current state of affairs, right? And so if a teacher has an opportunity today, tomorrow, next week, to have a conversation about this particular case with young people and just use this as a framework to have a conversation around conflict resolution, you can do that. And again, it still be part of an ELA lesson, a math lesson, science lesson, or a history lesson. So it's just us being more intentional about using real life scenarios like this to teach something that I think has been lost in education and been lost in the world, which is conflict resolution.
Right. So, I'm gonna jump in. Yeah. I teach prisoners, or returning citizens. I teach them. I teach the older people and some of their children. If they do not learn, again, oxygen is how we relax, focus, and concentrate. Once we're able to do this, we are able to figure out what our consequences are when we make certain decisions. We have to start somewhere. I always start. That's not saying everybody has to start there, but if you don't know how to relax on your own, if you don't know how to calm your mind down, if you don't know how to stop the racing that's going through your mind, if you don't know how to stop the nerves as they are moving through your body like this, if you don't know how to relax yourself, you will not know how to make the right decisions. You will always think from a reactionary point of view. That's
And Kim,
children.
I'm going to step in. Go ahead.
You know
Nick.
what's funny, Kim, is that, you know, anytime, whether again as a principal, a teacher, just somebody who's now in education for as long as I have, the one thing you see when kids actually lose it, when they get so tensed up, there is
right.
no actual breathing. There's nothing that's happening. And so they're reactionary to things where they're so tense that whatever happens wasn't done with a clear mind. And,
That's right.
and it's very, very apparent that that happens in schools all across the country. And I think again, it's about whether it's the chicken or the egg. My thing is breathing. If we're going to have a conversation about breathing, then let it be about breathing. If we're going to say conflict resolution is a thing, but we can incorporate breathing, we can incorporate other elements of it, that's fine. But what we got to do is to identify what it is that the real problem is. And again, we live in a country that the word conflict is being utilized every day on the news, right? Whether it's in a different country, whether it's war, whether it's even in the basketball game, the Knicks, and I looked at the Daily News today, and on the front cover is Wemby, and they got a big sign that says "Wanted," for basically attacking the Knicks.
Everything's a versus. Everything's a versus.
Yeah. So the conflict conversation. So now, if the Knicks, and I'm just going to just shift quickly to the Knicks, if the Knicks' response to that is let me go and react, as opposed to let me regulate myself and let me beat them the same way I did, then we're going to have a different conversation come tomorrow about what happened. Because if that doesn't charge them up in a way that they are able to regulate themselves, they're going to go and make some bad choices just because of what they saw on that newspaper, that the front of that newspaper. So I think that when we are having this conversation, again, it's important that we give things names. And what's happening across education, across the country, across the world, there's this term conflict. And we just got to continue to give kids the resources to deal with this conflict. And I think breathing is one hell of a way to start that conversation.
I'd like to get into where we struggle in the U.S. because as an international traveler, some of these problems that we're having in the U.S. where guys are shooting up schools and all this other crazy stuff that's happening, these impulse, all these things that are going down, it doesn't happen in some of the other countries. It doesn't happen in some of the other modern countries around the world. And a lot of international assessments, such as the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, kind of show why the U.S. is having some of the problems. Number one, it's the lower literacy and proficiency in many of the schools that are in this country. Also, those things that you're talking about, conflict resolution, breathing, and all those things are integrated into the curriculums in the European schools and some of the Scandinavian, African schools and other schools around the world are being taught education. So, and also the social media aspect is different. Whereas social media in America, these kids are living as if it's their real life, as if some of the rap and stuff is their real life, as opposed to it just being something that's separate. They've been able to separate that. And so now you have more of an organized scenario in the United States. In order for these, I guess it's a marketing thing, in order for these guys to keep these people engaged, they have to make these things as if it's their whole life. And a lot of our kids are focused more on the social media and some of the other things. And that's why we have these disparities, especially when you don't have any money. If you focused on bullshit, that's all you can focus on. Well, that'll stop you from wanting to go out there and get some money. So, Dennis, how do we grab back our kids and let them understand that, okay, it's fun to have social media, but that's not your whole life. Let's focus on getting you ready for education in the real world. How do we do that?
I think, again, it's just engagement, right? We got to engage young people. As I think some of us, as we've gotten older, have become very hands off when it comes to young people because, one, we don't want to deal with certain things that we don't believe in. I think we got to acknowledge the fact that those of us who kind of have been more mature growing up did so because we were around the OGs. We were around those those dudes who accepted us into that space. And I think as the OGs, we have to do a better job of going in and becoming a part of the world in which they live in, and ask them, like, again, do you understand that there's alternatives to this? So we can look at social media as a conduit to a lot of the bad things that are happening in the country or in the world. But the reality of it is that we're also not balancing it out with more conversations like this, or just going to the place where young people are, right? The fact that if we know that, ladies, you know how it is, and Kimmy, and working with young people, it's very difficult to not interact with young people if you're around young people. It's very difficult to not have conversations with them about life. But oftentimes, I think we just don't realize that it starts with just a basic conversation, and just an expression of love and concern for who they are as people, right? Because again, I don't think we could ever. We're not going to take the phones and the social media away from them, but we have to balance it out a little bit better. And even as parents now, as a father, I have to do a better job of intervening more often about the amount of screen time that my daughter has and my son has when it comes to this stuff, and kind of sharing with them is that there's a life outside of that phone. There's a life that's going to, of really, of what life should look like and what life should be like. But because I think we as adults have really, I guess, for lack of a better term, ladies and Kimmy, we've abandoned them in that space. Yeah, we don't want to be bothered with them. Like, we don't. And I understand it. Like, trust me, it was the same way with music a long time ago, ladies. You know how that was. You know what I'm saying? Your family was like, yo, who listening to this mess? Like, why are we listening to this mess? This same mess has made you guys a lot of money over the years, but it was mess to them. It wasn't until we acknowledged the fact that, new generations are going to have new interests, and that we should at least know what it is and kind of help them to balance it out. We just, again, throw up our hands and say, you know what, forget that. I don't want no parts of that. So I just think as adults we become more interactive with young people, Lace.
I think you make a good point, especially in this country. That's why I made point to what's happening in Europe. Just like the food in America, we get the worst food in America. In Europe, they don't allow this, and there is a difference. People are, the way that the kids are raised, they're very different in Europe than they are in the United States. I'm telling you, I've seen it. Though we have social media and all the other stuff, but people actually take time in raising their kids. A lot of the parents have checked out, and then they only check back in. Like in this, I don't know what this boy's family situation was, but I do find in a lot of situations, people check out and only check back in when they go to prison or Potter's Field. So, I mean, we got to figure out how to just check in as parents. I mean, even now, I'm dealing with it now where I'm just bringing my boys home with me, and we just going to have to roll together, and we're going to grow up together so they can live some of the things that I live and deal with life as it comes, so that we don't be in a situation where I got to go in 5 or 10 years and be like, okay, my son hasn't grown up yet. You know what I'm saying? Getting him up in the morning. That's why my son sees me up in the morning. I laugh and joke, Bryce, get up. But I'm actually training him to get up in the morning and get busy and handle himself and do what he has to do as a young man. Everybody's not doing that, and a lot of times it's because the broken homes in African American world in this country. The homes are so broken. 75% of these kids are growing up in single parent homes. That is a tough stat to deal with, and this is again the effect of what's happening. We cannot do it by ourselves. You can't just say, I'm gonna raise my kid by myself. It takes, as Solomon said, it takes a village to raise a child. So we're gonna have to get in there and do what we have to do. Dennis, I appreciate you taking this time, Dr. McKeezy, with us today. Just putting your insight in here. I felt, yes, there is an emotional quotient to this conversation, but I do think that us spending time together on here and just really breaking it down from a social emotional space, I think that's important, because if we don't, then we just reacting. And the problem is, if you act, sometimes that'll save you from having to react. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is a call not just to react, it's a call to action.
And so, ladies, I'll leave you and Kim with this. I
Yeah.
think that's very important for us to know that, these degrees that we get in education opens doors. The talent that we have can create opportunities, but our the self-control can save lives, can save our life. And we got to be able to understand that self-control is going to be paramount in helping young people to learn to walk away, to self-regulate, and to say, you know what, I'm gonna live to fight another day. I
Yeah.
can't hurt myself or my family, being in somebody's cemetery, and
Throw
I'm
away
not
my
gonna
future. Throw away
throw
my
away
future.
my future. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you, ladies and Kimmy, for this important conversation. And again, this so important. But again, I pray for both families, and hopefully everything, that people can find solace in having these conversations out loud. But again, shout
Before
out
you
to you
go,
and Kimmy for
Breezy,
this.
thank you for coming in. I want to bring in the OG, Reginald Maynard. He's always been, he's one of the biggest OSG fans and supporters, as well as supported the morning emails. OG, how you feeling? How you feel about the conversation this morning, OG?
Man, this was a conversation that first and foremost, respect and salute to you and your OSG crew. Working with Luster Products, I did quite a few OSG conferences at Columbia. I was so impressed with what you guys did, how you pull it together. And ladies, to your point, once you get to hear the inner sanctum stories, you realize the heavy lifting that these people are doing.
Good.
And the amount of money that they go into their own pocket, the amount of time that they spend away from their families to help other families. It's a yeoman's job. And so salute. And this is a conversation I'm glad that you've had this morning. And though you haven't seen me, Dr. McKeezy, I'm still working in the background, and I will be back soon because, as a black company, Luster's has had its travails lately. But to the true construct of us as people, we keep marshaling on, and we keep looking out for each other, and we got each other's backs. The last time I saw you, we were saluting Lays. So I was glad to see you at that event when Lays did that presentation in Jersey. So salute to you, and you're always going to be my brother, and I will always be a part of the OSG, and I still wear the gear, and I still tell the story.
Well, the point, the reason I had Dr. McKeezy, thank you, Doc, for coming in, because I wanted to give another perspective. Kim and Coco and everybody, I know y'all are livid, but with the effect of what happened. But there is causes in between that effect along the way that we are not paying attention to. And this is a teaching tool for everybody. This is a teaching tool for you guys, because this could happen to any one of your children at any time. And if you know the hand you're dealt, it's easy to play the hand that you know you're dealt. In this case, we know that these kids, this kid was a promising young kid. He had a 3.8 grade point average. He was on two different track and football. He was on his way to college. And and the other young man was also a promising young athlete. These guys might have been friends. You know what I'm saying? At some point.
Years down the line.
A couple of years down the line, they would have been friends. I mean, most of my friends, I met my best friend, Johnny Famous, by having a fight with him when I was 8-9 years old. And then we became friends. So before we go out there and, we got to think about ways to insulate our children against a society that doesn't like them.
Yeah.
That doesn't want them to win.
Out the way.
This society does not want, because every time a young, black, talented, resilient young kid takes the place of somebody else it exposes the lack of talent in other spaces and places in this country. Our resilience as a people are incredible. And the mistake that this country has made, and let me just go above everything and tell the mistake that the country has made, is that they failed their most promising resource, the African American. We are very unique. We are such a unique people. We're not like the Africans from Africa anymore. We're not like whites from Europe anymore. We are bred and resilient people. That's why most guys that get knocked down, they always able to get up. That's why all these new businesses, that's why hip hop is so great, because every time you give us lemons, we know how to make lemonade out of it. Now, we fought for civil rights and everything that you've given us, and we took what we could. Thank you to Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey and all these great men and women that put together this path that we're on to where our lives are much better today than they were 40 years ago when they were just hanging us in trees, 50 years ago when they were just lynching us and bringing their kids out to watch them kill us in public. But what the message I want to get across today is that we now have to learn to play this game, because we opened up the door and we're just holding it for the rest of the world to walk in. I make the jokes about the Habibis and all this stuff. Those are jokes, but understand what we're doing. We've opened the door, fought blood, sweat, and tears to have these things, and now we've opened the doors and everybody else is walking in, and now America has now been bought and sold and owned by China, the Arab countries, and all this stuff, while African Americans are still at the bottom of the totem pole. I think you guys got to pay attention. All right?
Every conversation, my brother, one that's very well needed. And Kim, your insight was great as well.
Thank you. Thank you, OG, for coming in this morning.
Let me say thank you to you for bringing up this subject, because it's not just me listening. There are other people out here who can actually make a difference. So kudos to you and the platform.
Thank you. Thank you, OG. Reginald Maynard, the OG. Thank you, Dennis.
Speak to you soon.
All right, now. Hey, Kimmy.
Hey, Lace.
Hi, sis. How you feeling?
We have this conversation every year. We could have this conversation every 6 months about a young black man being killed for nonsense. There's another verdict that went down where a South Carolina store owner was found innocent or not guilty for killing a young black man who actually he thought was stealing bottles of water from his store, and the young man wasn't. He chased him down and shot him in the back and killed him. That verdict just came down as well. So the problem I believe that we're dealing with not only is teaching our children how to de-escalate, how to regulate their own self-control, self-awareness, but the other cultures that are coming into this country are not being taught who the players are in this country, or if they are being taught, what they're doing is they're being fed lies and misconceptions about the players in this country, and the other cultures think it's okay that it's open
season, huh?
Open season on the black people in this country, and so it's not only us that needs to learn self-control. It is also the other cultures need to understand who we are as well. Until we do that, I continue to say, and I will always continue to say, take your deep breaths in and out. This is how we will regulate ourselves. This is how we will control ourselves. This is how we will figure out and focus on what we need to do as opposed to what's being done to us.
Well, you can't play the game unless you know the game. First and foremost, I want people to say that.
I'm out there teaching the game.
D Parks, what's up, brother? How you feeling? D Parks, my brother.
Morning, Parks.
Hold on. What up?
Yeah, I really love the conversation this morning. Thank you for your input. I mean, you see what's going on out there, bro. You see what's happening.
Yo, it's craziness. The whole thing was just talking about was sick because, dude, they got dude on camera walking around the store doing nothing but trying to shop and buy something. But he leaves his knapsack at the front of the store. When he leaves, he picks his knapsack up. He buys or does whatever he does, picks his knapsack up, leaves the store. They have it on camera. They chase this kid down. He drops cell phones and everything else. doesn't stop to pick it up, runs. I don't know why y'all chasing me. I ain't do nothing. Bap, 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 bap. Shot, killed. Owner found not guilty. Crazy.
Yeah. Again, that goes back to representation. Let's get back to the conversation about representation. We will always find verdicts like this because we don't have representation in our community. We don't get represented on the legal side. We don't get represented on the educational side, and so we start to have to just cope and do what we have to do. As Dr. McKeezy was out here, he's saying, listen, and I hear what he was saying. Hey, man, this is what we got. So they gave us lemons. We just trying to not even make lemonade. We just trying to make lemon water just so that we can do what we can. This is it's crazy.
And we trying to hold on to the lemons. Forget even lemon water. We just trying to hold on to the lemons.
Right. The owner of the store, Solomon said, had 2 other cases of shooting other people of color and has never been convicted. So, it's obvious. So when I'm speaking to a biased a legal system, it's always been biased. Yeah. And
always.
And now because of the climate, it's even more biased. This is why on the politics side, I think the people that have failed us is our politicians that are out there. You have to protect your constituency, the Black Americans in this country. That's why anybody I see Black people like that's pro Trump or pro all that other nonsense. And I say this to y'all all the time. They're not your friends, B. They're not your friends.
That's right.
Because they look at you as subhuman, second-class citizens. That's how they look at you. We joke about it. You are Black Larry, not Lays Elliott to them. You know what I'm saying? You Black first.
Yep.
And for some reason, they believe Black is a bad thing or African American is a bad thing in this country, and it's not. You're the most powerful, beautiful people that you could ever be. You are so resilient. They've done everything they could do to you, and they could not kill you. They could not kill you. You're resilient and you are smart and you're more talented. You are the most talented people in this country, in the world, actually. Your athletes are the best athletes in the world.
Let's go.
All right?
Yeah,
These are all the things that we are. Let's take a second.
We built for this. We've got to know that we're built for it. That's the Jedi mind trick that they're throwing on us. That we're not built for it.
You are a lion walking around thinking you a lamb.
Yep.
All right, guys. Let's get more lions out there. D Parks, thank you, brother. I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Yeah, just learn how to play the game, y'all. Just learn how to play. Sorry, Parks. Just learn how to play the game. Kimmy, let's wrap. Anything else before we wrap up today?
I kind of want to just stay with that. There's a lot of things that we could talk about, but I think at this thing with the store owner that killed the young man, and then we're talking about Carmelo Anthony. There's a lot of, once again, uprising talk about our own, having our own, supplying our own, and the only way we could do it is just do it. There's no more talk. No more talk. There's a video out there that went viral of a young Asian man saying, well, you know what, Black people, then go ahead. What y'all gonna do? Y'all gonna stop coming to our Chinese food? Stop coming to stop coming to that.
Yes.
You know what? We had all of that at first, and we could go back to that. I'm not saying exclude anybody. I'm saying that we have choices of what we're gonna do. I'm trying not to sound so racist here, but I would rather spend money in my community.
Yeah, but we're in triage now. We have to. But at the end of the day, the country, we are in triage. People are pissing on you and telling you it's raining. Maybe it's time that you keep your dollars in your pocket.
That's right.
Keep it in your pocket. And I want to thank everyone within the sound of our voice. Thank you, Kimmy. This was a great conversation this morning, a much needed conversation. We're going to be back to some bullshit tomorrow, though. I'm letting you know right now. But anyway,
go Knicks. That's right. We winning tonight. We might blow them out tonight.
We got the Knicks tonight. Let's play some basketball. Let's relax ourselves and let's bury our dead and mourn our young men in prison that feel alone. Shout to all the young guys in prison that just didn't know what they was getting into at a young age, and they're spending the rest of their lives coming out in prison, not even realizing that they've given their lives away and they've been taken off the playing field. See, that's how you kill a community. You take their lions off the playing field. So when you take them off the playing field, then they can't win the game. Let's put more of our kids back on the playing field. For Kimberly Robinson, thank you, Dennis McKeezy, OG, my man D Parks. Let's go Knicks, yeah. Y'all have a great day. We see you guys tomorrow. Peace.
Have a good day, guys.